everybody. We are in our very last life story of the Black Family Representation, Identity, and Diversity series. This has been an amazing week with all of our speakers. We have run the gamut of our community, and we've enjoyed so much listening to where people have been, where they're going, what they're doing in our community. And it's been a real eye opener that we've had so many people come into our lives. We are thrilled to have an author of 9 books. Yes, in our own community, 9 books. And she is the owner of Words Unite Bookstore. And we are very, very excited. I give her the floor though, make sure if you want to register for this event, you go to the library website, hit events, go to register, and get your name down on there. Okay. All right. Well, I am definitely wanting to hear what we've got coming up. So please enjoy our last speaker of our series, Miss Ashley Knight. Thank you, Miss Knight. And she toned off again.
No, I'm still here.
All right. We don't.
All right. Not social media, technology. You're gonna have to work today. We are going to save the best for last, and I am super excited to be here. So if my camera cuts in and out, trust me, I will be back because Ashley Marie is resistant. And I call myself Ashley Marie. I love my middle name. That has been one of the identifying names that I have used my entire life. I have continuously liked to be known as Ashley Marie, but I also have other features. So I am Ashley Marie Booker Knight, aka Ashley Free, Ashley Marie. And I am a co-owner of Words Unite Bookstore, and that is www.wordsunitebookstore.com. There I go again, back out. And I am super excited to be here today to share my story about how I got where I am now and what I'm doing and where I've been. I'm also, like she said, an author of 9 books. So this is a few of my books right here. And I am an Amazon bestselling author, as well as my family is 4 generations of authors. And so there are 4 authors in our family, and it started with my grandmother. And so my grandmother wrote the first book in our family, Don't Give Up. And of course, with that message, of course, that kind of, set the foundation of why I'm so persistent and I'm so passionate about, just walking in my purpose. And that is what I live on today. So my grandma wrote the first book, Don't Give Up, in our family. And then I started writing at age 29. I just turned 34. My birthday was February 20th. And so I was excited to announce that for my first interview until we got that wicked winter storm. But I'm thankful to have been living for 34 years, and I'm looking forward to many, many more. But I started writing at 29 because I met a 10-year-old, and I'm gonna give her a shout out. I think she's doing early college education with Central Texas College, but Jada Holly, also known as author J. Simone, she had published 3 books, and she's here in Killeen as well. She's one of my featured showcase authors at Words Unite Bookstore. So she had published 3 books. She was 10 years old when I met her, and I was like, Ashley, you are wasting your life. You're 29. I am a writer. I write on receipts. I write on envelopes. Like all of my thoughts, I call it my release my mind process. And I have always been writing down my thoughts and just different experiences. And that's what I use to, develop my books and how I kind of, got into writing. And so my first book was an anthology. I talked about my domestic violence experience with my ex-husband. And I'll talk about that in a little bit as well. But writing in an anthology, for anybody who's thinking about authoring, if you write a chapter in a collaborative book, that can help you get started. And so that's what I did. I wrote in an anthology first talking about that experience, and then I wrote in another anthology about my military experience and kind of showcasing the characteristics of leadership. And after I wrote those two books, then I just started writing like a crazy woman. I mean, I wasn't stopping. And so that has been how I became a 9-book publishing 9 books to this day. And I just published my latest book, Behind the Rank Volume 4, which is an anthology, this week. And so we also have my 2 daughters, my 13-year-old and my 9-year-old, have also published books. So those are the 4 generations. My grandma, my oldest daughter, my youngest daughter, and myself are all published authors. And my oldest daughter is an award-winning author. And so we are just thrilled to have this authorship family. And it only made sense for us to own a bookstore, right? So I'm thankful that I'm in this season where I now operate as a bookstore. And so I want to tell y'all a little bit about my story. And it started with my name, like I said, Ashley Marie. Because I call beautiful. My mom only called me beautiful. She said, "Hey, beautiful." Went out again. I would always say, "Hey, beautiful. Good morning, beautiful." And she would always address me as beautiful. And so all I can remember is positive words, being fed to me. I don't care what anybody else ever called me. I remember my mom calling me beautiful. I remember those words of positivity and her addressing me as beautiful, and that's what I would address myself as. I address myself as beautiful. I would address myself with other positive affirmations, and that's been my foundation, as well as my grandma's book, the words "Don't Give Up." No matter what I faced, that has been my position in life. And though we did have many trials, and so I'm the oldest of 3, I had many, many responsibilities since 12. My mom actually abandoned us when we were young. And so I used to always have this dream. I had a dream about seeing my mom at a bus stop and me screaming for her and not figuring out what that meant. I had this dream forever. And then I finally asked my grandma, because that's who I lived with for a majority of my life. My grandma and my 2 uncles raised me, helping my mom, when she would be absent from us. But she just left us with a babysitter, and the babysitter called and said that we never got picked up. And I'm young, so I didn't know this, but I always had this dream. And so that dream about the bus stop was real. I really did see my mom. Me and my grandma, I'm living with my grandma, living a regular life with her, not knowing what happened with my mom. But I ended up seeing my mom, and I recognized her at a young age. And I'm screaming for her because I knew that was my mother. But we couldn't have contact with her. And so my grandma told me about that experience, about us running into her, in the streets, and she was at a bus station going to work, but we couldn't have contact with her, but I recognized her as my mother. And I love to talk about abandonment because though that was a hard, traumatic experience for me, because I was traumatized by it in dreams and different memories that would pop up because my family never told me the whole story, growing up. And so I always had to try to piece these different dreams and experiences together. And that's why I would write. I would literally write these different things because I couldn't remember why I was having this dream. Was it a real life experience, or was it a memory, or was it something that I imagined? And if you're experiencing anything like that, you've been neglected by parents, you've been abandoned by parents, it can travel with you for a lifetime. That was my struggle throughout my whole life, just trying to heal from people leaving me. And for my mom to leave me, that was the hardest thing. And so she came back when I was around, like in the 2nd grade. I think I was 11 or 12. And we had a new brother. So it was me and my little sister that were the siblings at first. So I'm the oldest, and then I have a younger sister. And then 5 years later, she had a brother. So she came back to raise us. And we had a little brother. And so I got the choice to say, like, do you want to go live with your mom, or you want to stay with me? Well, my sister wanted to, and then my brother was already there. So, we did go live with her, but it was a struggle. I remember walking to food banks to get us some food, and different things like that. And my mom did the best that she could, but she had us so young, she just wasn't ready for the responsibility. And for the longest, I couldn't understand that, And as a mother now, I'm a mother of 3 girls now, and I understand the different choices that you have to make for your kids. And if you're not ready for it, it can be a hard choice. And for me, once I had my children, I would never, I always made sure I was ready for the responsibilities that were going to come my way. And if I wasn't ready, I have always been had the wisdom to reach out to get the assistance that I've needed. And so I'm thankful as a young Black woman. I'm like the youngest person in most of my circles. Most of my friends groups, I'm 34, but my friends are 50 in their 50s or older. And I'm thankful for that wisdom around me, because I feel like my childhood kind of made me, mature a little faster. Because I had real responsibilities. Me and my brother and sister had to eat, you know, we had to really be responsible. I mean, I really had to be responsible with making sure that we had everything, calling family members when the lights were out and stuff like that. And not everything was bad, because I tried to recollect through counseling. And if you're not getting behavioral health assistance, I'm telling you, don't shun that. Do not think that you're weak if you got to go talk to a counselor, because it was that time that I got assistance with counseling that they revealed different things to me. I had to think back, that it wasn't all bad, but the only thing I could remember was the trauma. And my counselor helped me to remember, the good times that I had with my mom. But that abandonment was so heavy that all I could think about is the pain that she caused me during that time that she left us consistently. And then towards my high school years, she got addicted to crack cocaine. And so we lost her for a longer time. But thankfully, my oldest daughter is 9, and my mom has been drug free for over 9 years now. So I thank God that I was able to live my life and see my mom on the other side of her addictions, and have a real relationship with her now. And today is her birthday, actually. And so my birthday's on the 20th. Her birthday is 5 days after me. And so for me to call my mom this morning to have a real daughter-mother relationship, because for us, I became the other parent for my siblings. And I know a lot of you older siblings are having to deal with that. And if you are having to deal with that, don't resent that responsibility. I am thankful for every moment that I learned to care for another person to this day, because that made me a considerate, kind, passionate person. I take that as a strength now, because um once you help other people, all of that help comes back to you. And I'm a witness of that. All the volunteering and the assisting and the people that I've poured into have returned that love back to me. And so my brother and sister and I are doing well. We all have our own families. Everybody's living on their own. But I tell y'all that story because it hasn't been easy. And everybody doesn't have to have a traumatic story for you to still have a struggle in life either. But that was my story. My mom leaving us at a toddler age with a babysitter, and then us having to get picked up by my grandparents, and then me having traumatic dreams about seeing her in public and not knowing what that meant until somebody revealed to me that those are real life experiences, because your mom left you at the babysitter's house and we were raising you. And then struggling in my high school years when she got addicted to drugs and trying to figure out where I was going to go from there. So where I went from there was the Army. At 17, I committed. I lost myself again. I'm coming back. At 17 years old, I committed to joining the military. So I was going the Air Force route. They weren't taking anybody at the time, and so I ran into an Army recruiter. And every Army person knows that story. I say, "Who?" Them Army recruiters are ready for you when every other military branch gives you the boot or are not available. The Army is they're always available to reel you in. And so I had an Army recruiter that really got me set, because I'm a bowler. Okay, so that's my secret. Like, my passion is bowling. I was on the bowling team In high school, um, I was a transfer student. I was a transfer student in ROTC in high school. So I didn't go to the school that my peers went to. I didn't go to like the school that my peers and my brother and sister went to. I was actually a transfer student, and I went to a predominantly white school. I literally think it was only like 20 of us black kids in that school, and I was in ROTC for 4 years. And so I really used that structure of having that military mindset. That's why I probably joined as well, because I just love that structure. And so being in that environment, it kind of expanded my world, because my friends in that environment, they had um, parents that were together, they had married parents, they had great careers, and so they had big houses and experiences that I got to go on at their houses and on trips that I would have never experienced in my environment. And I was thankful for having access to see a different world. And so my high school year, my last year, my junior and senior year, I was in track and I was in bowling. And I had a lot of teachers that poured into me, and they told me, this is not your final chapter. I had got accepted to Texas Southern University, and I was going to go bowl with a bowling scholarship. And I only lasted like 2 semesters at TSU, and it was just, I was lost. No one took me to orientation. I didn't really know how to start college after high school. And so I feel like if I would have had mentorship, like someone taking me, like a family member taking me to orientation, then I would have had a successful college introduction. And that just didn't happen. And so the military just made sense for me. And so I joined the military in 2005, right when Katrina hit, literally. The week of Katrina hit, my shipment to basic training stopped. So we ended up, I remember being on the fourth floor in an apartment complex with a friend waiting out Katrina in Houston. And I'm from Houston, Texas. I didn't say that, but I'm born and raised from Houston, Texas. And so I'm only 3 hours from my home. My whole family still lives in Houston. And so we had to wait out Katrina before I can even go to basic training. And so I was extended another week until we got through, recovering, until we recovered from Hurricane Katrina. And that was the best choice that I could have made for my life. I traveled overseas my whole military career. I only served 10 years and 3 months, but that was the best 10 years and 3 months of my life. I served in Germany. I served in Hawaii. Originally I did reserve time in Conroe, Texas, because I wanted to come back home, but coming back home wasn't the right choice for me. And so immediately after getting out of basic and AIT and doing that reserve unit in Conroe, I went active duty and I went to Germany. And that was such an amazing experience there. I can't wait to go back. My oldest daughter was born there. And I want to take her there, show her, all the different places that I got to see when I was young. I was there at 19 years old. And then we shortly after that went to Iraq. And that was a tough experience at 19 years old. And I tell people this all the time, because as young people, we experience so many things as young soldiers. And I know I hear about D-Day and all the heroic veterans that had to fight in the war in World War II and all of that. And they were so young. I know what that felt like. I knew what being 19 and overseas as a soldier with weapons in your arms, fighting an enemy felt like. And the constant incoming sounds and being in a bunker and literally, hearing the incoming or hearing the bombs come down, and you're in the shower and you got to go get in a bunker to get some kind of covering over you, or those early mornings on the flight line, sending your brothers and sisters off in a coffin, in a box. That was the worst. That was the worst experience I could ever have experienced. And so I'm a serious person, but so life is serious for me. And when I came out of military into civilian life, it's been hard for me to really accept the pleasures of being a civilian, of regular life, because I dealt with real life. I lost real battle buddies, I lost real people at an early age. I saw real war at an early age. I left home so early, running away from my life, running away from the abandonment and the disappointment that I had living with my mom in my life. I wanted something better. I had to get out of Houston, Texas, and I wanted a better life. I wanted a life that was successful, that I could be proud of, and that was not struggling. And I went for that. And so my story would be all about persisting past your environment. I don't care what environment you were raised in, and it didn't have to be as bad as mine, because mine wasn't that bad. Because God always placed angels around me, my teachers, my grandma, my uncle, mentors, parents of my friends, who always poured into me and told me that I can go beyond my environment. And so I always tell people it's a matter of choices. In my house, on every door, I have a sign that says, "Are you making good choices for my kids?" And when they're making bad choices, I make them go read that. You got to read it 3 times. Are you making good choices? Are you making good choices? Are you making good choices? If you're not, what are you going to do now? And so it's time for you to make the right choices, so that way you don't fall victim to the environment that you live in. And if anyone is struggling with that right now, I encourage you to press past the suck. I always say that. You got to press past the suck, because it does get better on the other end. But you got to have a will to fight, to have what you want and have what you desire. And I'm known as the gold digger and the executor. I set goals and I accomplish my goals. And I'm not telling you I don't get any no's, because I get so many no's. The no's are so heartbreaking, but every no I get, I know there's a yes around the corner. And so I continue to press and push. And even though I fell down so many times, and even though I struggled with, abandonment, because that abandonment with my mother also fear put me in fear of abandonment from friends and partners, when when my husbands, when I got married. I carried that feeling, I carried that fear. But it wasn't until I got behavioral health assistance that I really started to process all of that. And now I know what to call it. And now I know what I'm feeling when someone's leaving me or somebody disappoints me. Now I can speak on it and use my words properly. And so after I served 10 years in the military, like I said, I went Germany, spent some time in Iraq, Hawaii, then back to Texas at Fort Hood. I had to exit out of the military because of a marital domestic violence situation that I had to break free from. And that is what revealed all the different issues from my childhood. Experiencing the abandonment from my mom, hearing the toxicity from family members. And I say that because as a Black woman, I didn't really experience any racial hatred. I tell people that all the time. I don't know racism because I never really felt racism issues growing up, because I was a transfer student at a predominantly white school. And all of them were my friends. I had many friends of many different statures of position in life. And I knew the different possibilities that I had. And if there were issues, like for me, my friends might have had a lot of money and had parents together, but I knew I could have a great life even though I didn't have the money that they had, or the clothing that they had, or the things that they had. And so I could see it. Even though I didn't have it, I could see that happening for me. And so I'm thankful for that experience as well. And so after the military, breaking free from my domestic violence situation with my ex-husband, I started to live. And that's where Ashley Free came about. I was about to lose my house under foreclosure. And I'm telling you, I know financial hardship. You can't tell me that you are facing financial hardship right now and you can't get past it, because I've seen it on many different occasions growing up, with not so much money, with living with a single parent as well as a single grandparent who was raising me with limited funding, but we had everything we need, because I always say God provided for us. And so after I got out of the military, about to lose my house, I started holding these positive signs throughout the community, and I became Miss Positivity. And my signs would say, "You are brave, be brilliant, be smart. Um, you can do anything. Be strong. You are beautiful. You are worth it." And it just spread like a flower. Um, the positivity that was spreading throughout Killeen and Temple. And then I would take my signs on every trip that I would travel to, because by then I had become an author, and I was traveling on tour, and I would take my signs through the airport with me. So I would carry my signs through the airport, and I would have people stop and want to take a picture. And so I just became Miss Positivity. But every time I held those signs, people were not realizing that that was pouring back into me, because I was about to lose my house. I didn't know where money was going to come from. And I just couldn't see anything other than I gotta just kill myself because this is not gonna work. And I tell people, even people of faith, suicidal thoughts are real, and you gotta fight against those with something bigger. And those signs saved my life. Me holding those signs, every time somebody stopped and said, "Thank you for that sign. I needed that today." I needed that today too. And sometimes you gotta do something for somebody else to give you what you need. And so I was so thankful to have that time and that experience, holding my signs. And so now I stand for positivity under my umbrella of Words Unite Bookstore. So we have positive efforts and programs that we establish through the store. And from there, then as I traveled throughout, the states with the books on book tour, I was like, how can we make this thing bigger? How can we make this thing a better environment? Because I kept meeting so many authors, and we were trying to figure out how we can get more profits for our book sales, without losing so much from Amazon and Barnes and Noble. Like, we were getting 30 to 45% deductions from our book sales. We needed more money for that. Authorship is a great career path for writers, and not everybody is going to be a New York Times bestseller. We're not on that mainstream, but we could have a productive career in authorship. And so I built the bookstore, along with Kiana Cannon, which is my business partner. We came together, meeting each other through a veteran organization. We were on a ladies trip in Washington, D.C. We both live in Killeen, but we didn't meet each other until we went all the way to Washington, D.C. on a trip. And I was really on unity and the power of words during that time. And so that's how we developed the name Words Unite, because words truly hold power. And that unity of words and, literature, and the importance of literature and education really brought Words Unite Bookstore to life. And so that's how we created the name. But I call myself a serial volunteer. And so I volunteered with organizations like Red Cross. I was a deployment briefer for Fort Hood. I have been the assistant for Armed Forces, Natural Hair and Health. Y'all heard from Lavina earlier. I worked for her for many years. I have assisted Phantom Warrior Food Bank with their food care center, the food care center in Killeen. Camouflage Sisters, I'm the assistant for that, and that's military women sharing their military stories. And that's our history books, military women in their service. Camouflage Sisters is the avenue to learn about, the military woman in uniform. Wounded Warrior Project, I've always helped them with their food care programs. Killeen Noon Lions, I am a member of the Killeen Noon Lions Club, and I love my brothers and sisters in that club because we serve the community in every aspect that we can, and we help with the special needs students at the different Lions camp and the different entities that they have. We have the eye bank, and we have different things that we do. We do the Red Cross Salvation Army ringing the bell for Christmas. And so there's so many different organizations that I'm attached to that I volunteer for that really catapulted me being successful as a bookstore, because all I did was put all that together. Everything that I had been doing in Killeen as a community resident, I just put together under one bookstore, and it has amazed me how much support I've gained and how much love and praise that I've gained for just opening a bookstore in general. Now, we are a Black-owned bookstore, and we highlight and honor, the Black authors within our community. But we have a whole lot of authors in our platform as well. And so this is the bookstore for the Black community. We are the only Black-owned bookstore. My mentor is Baba Tunde, who had a bookstore in Coppers Cove and Killeen for over 15 years, and he had Under One Roof bookstore. And so I'm super thankful for people like him who paved the way for me to do what I'm doing now. And I love it. I get to work in my passion. And that's why I was telling y'all, living your life in beyond the environments that you're raised in is really, really important. But you got to have faith. You got to have the will to push past anything that you may face to actually achieve the goals that you want to achieve. Anything is possible, and I'm just thankful for this opportunity to share my story with you all. Even though I had disappointments in my life, now at 34, I get to see the other side of all of that trauma, and I don't care about it. I'm thankful for the experience. I have no regrets, and that's what we have to do. We have to not hold on to the past traumas that we've had, and we got to push past so that way we can pull other people out of their bondage as well. And so that's what I aim to do now with Words Unite Bookstore. We have efforts and programs called Books for a Cause, where we help get books in the hands of those who need it, children and households who need extra reading material, and school districts who need extra reading material. We have Purchases for a Cause, where you can purchase our Words Unite Bookstore t-shirts, and 10% of those proceeds go to a nonprofit that we select every month. And then we have our Foods for a Cause, where we feed the homeless or whoever needs it. Right now, we've been actually donating food to people's actual addresses. So individuals that have been identified who need extra food, we've been dropping off food to their doors with the extra food that we get with the partnerships that give us food daily. And so there's so many different things that we can do. And you got to do your part. You got to be the change that you want to see. And that's all I can do. I can only walk in my purpose and do as much as I can do in my lane. And all of us together can really make a difference within our community. And so that's all about Ashley Marie. Do y'all have any questions?
I don't see any yet, but they may pop up.
Okay, well, I have like a million questions. My first question is, do you sleep? Because you have so many things you are doing. It's amazing how widely spread your missions, your goals are. Do you have time for you?
Yes, ma'am. And everybody who's close to me, they pushed that on me. Today I went and sat on one of my friend's porches this morning. I sat on her porch for an hour, just drinking coffee and not doing business. So I have accountability partners that be like, listen, you're not going to be doing work. You're going to just relax and, got to decompress sometimes. So I do have what I call my serenity places that I go, and the bowling alley is one of those. I love to bowl. That is my passion. I have my own balls. I have my own shoes. I have my own bag. I have everything for bowling. I love to do that, but I don't sleep. And I wanted to talk about that too. Because of my different past traumas and just the way that my body's conditioned, I don't sleep that well. And so I'm known to be up, really, really late. And so I volunteer at Garden of Hope shelter, which I work there now as a night staff, because I know I'm not going to sleep. And for me, I don't waste an hour of the day. If I'm going to be up already, which I was up all night, staying up 1 o'clock, 2 o'clock, 3 o'clock in the morning. I started working at the shelter, which helps children to clear out that time. But now I sleep well whenever I work those shifts, because as soon as I get home, I'm like dead tired. And so that kind of helped me get some sleep, but I do know I had a sleeping problem. So you got to try to figure out what areas you can decompress in, especially if you are somebody whose purpose to do so many different things. That's all great if you're not physically equipped and nourished and healthy to do so. So no, I don't sleep that well, but I do actual things that help me to get the sleep that I need, so that way I can be productive.
Well, I am just in awe of you, and I need to know, because I'm part of the Writers Guild here, and we have students in the guild who want to be writers, and they will write many things, but they can't ever like get. Well, one of our writers actually has written 3 books and not published yet. And then we have another writer who writes all the time, and she needs to get it all together in one spot. And you would be such an inspiration to them because you wrote 9 books in this small amount of time as a young adult. They are young adults. And so what kind of advice can you give our writers guild that that basically want to be you?
Definitely. So yes, I thought writing a book was like so hard. And when I finally wanted to start writing, my grandma had already published a book, so I knew what it looked like, but I wasn't really there, doing it with her. So when I was ready, I talked to her. When she published her book, she published it in 1996. So of course that was a whole lot different than us publishing now. And so I have learned the self-publishing avenues on like 6 platforms. And so I'm known as a self-publishing guru. If you want to publish your book, definitely contact me via my bookstore. So that's info@wordsunitebookstore.com. You can email me and I can get you in the right lane to publish your books. Because I always tell people your story is waiting, is just somewhere waiting for somebody to read it so that they can realize that they're not alone, and they can, have that experience to see some victory or see some light at the end of the tunnel. So if people are already published, those are the ones that I want, because to come to me and to get my assistance, because I have self-publishing assistance, you have to have written 14,000 words or more for me to you. So if you're already writing, you already have done the hard part. And so there's many self-publishing avenues that you can do that I'm connected with. And if you would
Oh,
like assistance, I can help them publish. But the advice I would give is you got to start writing if you haven't written before. You require at least 14,000 words or more for you to have a good document book for you to publish in general, that has good enough content and quality. So your goal should be 14,000 words, and then 2, you should be writing right now, and then connect with someone who's already doing it. I have publishers on my team, and then I know how to do self-publishing. And so if you really want to publish, we don't have high fees, but I know people who do have the higher fees. If you want to go all the way with it, having a publishing team that will get you gigs and book signings and publicity, you can go as big as you want to go with it, but the time is now to start publishing.
that's amazing. Our writers guild will love that. They are a very diverse group, and they would fit right in with your bookstore. And so that's great information for our writers there. They'll be very excited.
Yeah.
And make sure that you give us your website and everything so that Lee can put it in the comments, and that way anybody who goes ahead and watches this can easily find you. um Lee, any more questions?
No, I don't see any.
Not
Oh, wait,
yet.
wait, 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 wait.
Wait.
Yes, there is. How should one go about finding a publisher?
Come talk to me, because I have heard horror stories about people contacting publishers that just go ghost on them or disappear or steal their work. So
Mm.
definitely contact me. I have a vetted list of publishers that will get you a great product. So one, initially you would Google it, you would Google publishers, and then you would look up their criteria and see which one best fits for you, because what you want to look at, one, is what is your budget and how you want to proceed with it. Meaning, do you want book signings? Do you want to be a speaker with it? Or you just want to publish a book and somebody else sell it for you? Like, you got to figure out what kind of author you want to be, how attached as an author you want to be. Words Unite Bookstore is the avenue for you to do all of that. We are the distribution hub as well as the publishing avenue for independent authors. And so we call ourselves the profit solution for independent authors. So if you are thinking about it, come talk to me just so you don't have any hardships. But that doesn't mean you're going to have to go with me. I would rather you publish the book than you to use me. It's enough business for all of us. And so I don't want you to just come shop with Ashley. I want you to publish that book. And so I will get you in the right area that fits you the most.
Wow. Wow, you are such a resource in this community. Besides, like all of your volunteering and all of your 16 jobs, you you are you are a godsend in our community. So, Lee, any other questions?
No, I don't see any.
Okay, all right. Well, Miss Ashley Marie
Yes.
Knight. We are so pleased that you came to give us your life story today and how much you shared with us. And it is so encouraging. We've seen your military career, which is something, we've not had too much of stories about. And then also where you've come from and what you're doing today. This series has brought to us the most wonderful people in our community that we didn't know were here. And now we do know that we're here. And it has been such a pleasure to walk in everyone's shoes. And we want to thank you so, so much for that. Um, Everybody who has been watching these series, thank you so much for sharing the lives of your community, people in your community. And we want to thank all of our speakers who have been with us for being brave and risking vulnerability. And yeah, she's like nodding her head. It's not that easy to talk, huh?
No,
No.
I was crying all morning and I was like, I guess I'm about to pour my soul out today because some
Oh.
days you need a good cry and today's been an emotional day for me, but I was like, I know what you have to do in purpose, it requires emotion.
You're correct, and we honor the fact that everyone has taken that one step in bravery, and poured their soul out to us so that we could do what we originally said was when you listen to people tell their stories, then you get honest humanity. And that was our goal, is to get honest humanity from the people in our community. So thank you so, so much. You've been in and out. We've gotten some wonderful cameo pictures of you throughout this. Um, but it's all good. It's all good. We were just talking about don't worry about what you look like and what's happening.
Right?
It's been quite the adventure this whole week, but we made it through. So, everyone, thank you. We're going to go ahead and post the links to this video as well as to all the other videos on both CTC's YouTube and the library's YouTube. Um, don't forget, Miss Knight, to put your website in our chat so that Lee can put it into the comments. And we just want to thank everyone for being with us for this series. Personally, it's been wonderful for me, and I've enjoyed every minute of our guests. We've had the most awesome guests. So, Lee or Ashley, did you want to say anything else? Or
No, thank y'all so much. And I mean, education and knowledge is very, very important. And so if you are listening right now, you're getting informed and continue to do that.
thank you. That's awesome. And that's from the 9-book writer, guys. So she's got it. She's got it going right. Anyway, all right. Well, Lee, we're going to let you take us out. And Miss Knight, don't go away quite yet. Okay. Bye, guys. Oh, there she is. She could tell us bye with her smile.